Hey guys, Forristicat here. Today I want to do a discussion on the TV show Fringe. So I can't remember exactly how it got recommended to me. I think someone just said to check it out because it's sort of like a cross between X-Files, and the Twilight Zone, and Star Trek or something like that. But I think the reason I started checking it out was because of the creator J.J. Abrams, and I was heavily into Lost at the time, and as a result I thought, okay, well, if this J.J. Abrams guy is behind Fringe, maybe it's actually worth checking out. So I started watching the first few episodes. It was pretty good. I liked the sort of background, how Peter sort of gets involved in it, like he's in Iraq or something like that, and so the FBI team comes in to get his skills or whatever. And what can I say? I mean, Walter Bishop is a very strong character. Unfortunately, what's happened with Fringe is that, and it sort of annoys me because I know it has the potential to be really good. It's always been good, but it has never been great. There has been some standout episodes, and those standout episodes are the episodes which sort of makes me come back to Fringe, because a few times there'll be an episode I'll watch and I'll be like, damn, this episode is good. That's why I keep on watching the show. For example, there was an episode, I think last season, season 3, where, or maybe it was even earlier this season, where like they actually do a pretty good interpretation for ghosts, like what actually ghosts are. So their interpretation of it within this episode was that ghosts are like energy of other people coming through from other alternate universes. So for example, if like a ghost just walked behind me now, then one would say that ghost is actually like a being, like a version of someone in my family or whatever from an alternate universe. So the episode centered around a woman and her passed away husband, and sort of like she was holding on to the memory of her husband, and as a result she was pulling in his ghost from this alternate universe. And it was a pretty emotional episode. I'm like, damn, when these writers actually try, they actually do a really good job. And there was another episode called Welcome to let's pull it up here. It was called Welcome to Somethingville. It was a very much reminded me of Twin Peaks type of episode, where you have this sort of like set off location, and sort of everything that happens there is sort of like different from the rest of the whole world. Welcome to Westfield, that's right. So Welcome to Westfield was a very sort of another high production episode, and it's sort of like almost like a mini movie. So again, like that's another episode of Fringe that sort of stuck in my head. I'm like, this is sort of why I stick around. But pretty much the main sort of draw card for Fringe is the relationship between Walter Bishop and Peter Bishop, and I really like the idea of the Walter Bishop caring for his son so much that he actually went to an alternate universe, got the alternate version of him, and pulled him back into his universe. I like that a lot. I think the writers are sort of stuffing up with this whole bring in this alternate universe, like an alternate Olivia, etc., etc. And there are a couple of there are definitely some problems in the writing process here. There was one episode where Olivia, like the episode ended, and Olivia said something like, I had a dream and I think I'm going to die, or something like that. Then they sort of left that, and they haven't really referenced that for a while. So that's definitely an issue there. The main issue is that at the moment is that Peter is trying to get back to his real home, like his real universe. However, unless I'm mistaken, and again correct me if I'm wrong, the the universe he's trying to get back to, he's already in the correct universe, but the observers, the men in black, have deleted the memory of Peter from everyone else's memory, and he thinks he belongs somewhere else. Unless, of course, when he says he has to get home, he's talking about his original, the original alternate timeline where Peter Bishop is, where Walter Bishop is the Secretary of Defense. If he's talking about trying to get home in that respect, then that's true. You know, he does belong somewhere else. But in terms of like his home, in terms of like the first place he ever was, he was in this timeline, and if that's where he's trying to get back to, he's not realizing that he's actually there now, because that's the timeline where the men in black, the observers, deleted the memories of everyone. So I'm like, okay, where's he actually trying to get back to? Is he trying to get back to he's the Secretary of Defense father, or is he trying to get back to his home, the very first place he ever was, in which case he's already there? So that's sort of a main sort of concern of mine, thinking, okay, where's this going? Where's he actually trying to get back to? The observers, I remember the first time I saw the observers, I just like the way they sort of, you know, they're emotionless, the makeup sort of like crust, you know, like really white sort of pale ghost faces, how they eat very bizarre things, like they go into like a cafeteria, order like, you know, like 6 thin slices of salmon with like a little bit of like watercress on the side, then he gets some salt and like pours salt for like, you know, 30 seconds or whatever, and then, you know, he eats it or whatever. That was very good. I like the idea of them. Like, I sort of like the idea of like the Men in Black in general, and I think that they should be going off this you know, comedic version of Men in Black and actually make like a serious version of the Men in Black, which would be interesting. I like the one guy I don't like is the guy with glasses. He sort of annoys me, like the other FBI agent in there. Lance Reddick, who plays Broyles in the show. He's also a very strong character. Pretty much, you know, that guy, put him in any office role, and you know, he can stare down, you know, the barrel of a gun. Like his eyes are so piercing, and he does that sort of. He's very unreactive, so he's a very sort of good actor to play in like these, you know, office roles or whatever. Yeah, as we saw in The Wire. However, I think at one stage his alternate version got killed, and I think he actually like saw himself die or something like that. So yeah, that's sort of, they didn't make that very clear. Like they showed him dead, and he saw his own body. So that wasn't very well presented. But nevertheless, I think Fringe, when the writers pull their heads out of their backsides, it's actually a pretty decent show. However, there are episodes where I'm watching it and I am bored, and like I'm thinking, okay, so this episode is like a filler episode. It's not actually like a decent episode, like, you know, like the Ghost episode, or, you know, Welcome to Westfield. So definitely, I'm just thinking about the end game. I mean, last episode, Peter actually had an observer in Walter's lab, and he took him into this sort of like dreamlike state. And then he showed like the whole world, and he basically said, like, you know, Olivia is the one, you need to have a baby. However, her baby, the baby of Olivia, is the alternate Olivia that he says he needs to that I think the observer said something like, yeah, you know, you need to be with Olivia, but you need to be with the other Olivia, which is Olivia he doesn't love, because there's a whole storyline where Olivia, the alternate Olivia pretended to be the real Olivia, and the other Olivia was in the other timeline. They did this swap. That was pretty interesting. I think that was how they ended season 3, going into season 4. However, maybe not, I can't remember. However, that's the same Olivia that the observers are trying to get Peter to be with. And they showed like Peter's son or whatever, and he's like, I have a son, and he's like, not anymore, because that was an alternate timeline which ceased to exist. I think what the writers need to do is they need to slow down, and instead of trying to like add more sort of mysteriousness and like more open loops, sort of like Lost. I mean, Lost, they answered one question and it was always more questions. You can do that for a little while, but after a while, if you keep on doing that, you're gonna piss off your viewers. And for me, it seems to me that they've got good ideas. However, they're throwing too many ideas. Like they got all these ingredients in the kitchen, and say they got 50 ingredients. If they only take about 5 or 6 or 10 of them, they can make a really good meal. But what they're doing is they're taking like the 50 ingredients, throwing it in a pot, stirring it around, and saying, okay, here we go, guys. And although like I can see the good ideas there, I can see the meal there, they're definitely they're doing too much at once, and they need to slow down and come back to basics. Then they introduce this whole alternate universe. It's a good idea. It sounds okay. I mean, but it made things a little bit more complicated than what it has to be. What it should be the observers, the alternate timeline coming into it just every once in a while, but not have this like bridge where they go between alternate universes to work. I thought that was sort of stupid. I think it's a little bit dumb, sort of having like the actors work with themselves. It's just really strange, really. But then one could argue that obviously the whole show is a bit strange. So I have them like cross into the alternate universe every once in a while. Have the observers sort of be the time cops or whatever, like the steering committee, in order to prevent the worlds from colliding or from being destroyed or whatever. And that's another problem. Although they talk about this threat, the threat doesn't really feel like it's there at all. Like they're always showing up. They're always like saying stuff like we need to do this to stop this world from coming into chaos or whatever. But you don't actually take it seriously. Like you hear the words they're saying. It's like, okay, whatever. They've said this for multiple episodes, but the tension that they're making reference to is not there. So I think they need to build up this tension somehow. They need to start doing things so that when they actually say stuff like that, we're actually, the viewers are like, okay, damn, this is actually real. For example, the main bad guy, the guy that has like the messed up face, he's meant to be a villain, but he doesn't really feel like a villain. And they put him back in here. They pulled him back from the past, which again seems like the writers are like, okay, what do we do now? Oh, that's right, we had that guy before, let's bring him back. They're sort of scrambling to put things together, so it seems to me like their thought process is a little bit out of whack. And now they're trying to use him as the main villain again. However, he's not really he doesn't really have that carry that pull of actually being a villain that's actually scary or intimidating or threatening, although he's meant to be. So I think have better established villains, a more sort of established threat. Have these that's the thing, because they want to move the main plot forward, but at the same time they want to have these mini cases sort of in between. So take the TV show House. You got the main case, and you have these sort of he goes to do clinic hours, which sort of break up the episode with these little bouts of humor or whatever. In a similar way, here you've got the main storyline, and every once in a while, like they'll take like a detour of investigating like a case, which seems a bit weird, because if you've got this threat or whatever, that the world is gonna go out of alignment or be destroyed by a colliding alternate universe, you wouldn't be like, okay, let's work on this case over here. So they need to sort of make somehow, I don't know how they're gonna do it, but all these mini episodes sort of related to the main plot. Another fantastic episode of Fringe, which I just remembered, was the whole episode was done like as a cartoon, and then Peter had to go back in time to rescue like the younger Olivia from her stepfather, which was beating her. I thought that was also pretty good as well. So I think all these guys are pretty good actors. I mean, Anna Torv, I think she's from Melbourne, Australia originally. Peter Bishop is good. I like his personality in the show, and his sort of methodology of working. But definitely, yeah, the star of the show is yeah, without a doubt, Walter Bishop, and just how he's sort of like this frail man, you know, very smart with a heart of gold, but always, you know, like eating strange things, and you know, sort of making sort of like just these bizarre things he does, like listening to music, etc., etc. He's definitely the star of the show, and the reason I'll keep on watching Fringe is to see how the relationship between him and his son develop, because, you know, there've been episodes there where, you know, like he says, like, I love you, Peter, or whatever, and, like, you know, I started crying because it's like, it's, you know, it's pretty emotional. But yeah, Fringe, what can I say, a decent enough show. It's always been good, but as much as I want it to be great, it's never really pushed that boundary, which I really wish that it would actually happen, but not as good as it can be. Okay guys, Forristicat here, have a good evening.